Hey, everybody, welcome to a special edition of the Burning Pallets podcast. So, today we have a couple of special guests. So, this is going to be a little bit different than the old. I'm Mike from Texsource, and on my far left, that is the founder of Texsource and the whole Texsource family, Robert Bolin. And to my direct left, this is John.
No, it's Jeff. Jeff Hancock.
We're going to call him John Hancock, but it's really Jeff Hancock. But we're going to call him John Hancock because it's an East Coast thing.
You know, if you shut this off, I'll show you my John Hancock. Okay, it's Jeff.
Okay. So, just to please him, because everybody wants to have their what they want to be identified. We'll identify him as Jeff Hancock.
That's perfect.
Jeff works up in the newest member of the Texsource family, which is Martin Supply Company up in Baltimore, Maryland. So how's it going, Jeff? I know we just recently met, and now you're visiting here in North Carolina, the kind of the mothership.
Yeah, it's now the mothership of the Martin Supply, which is located in Baltimore, as Mike said. A lot of things are the same, and a lot of things are different between the two. And mainly, one is in Baltimore, and the other one's in North Carolina.
So I've asked you to come down, Jeff Hancock.
This guy.
Yeah, this guy. So I've asked you to come down so you would be able to see what's going on in North Carolina and compare North Carolina to the Baltimore location. And as you said, there's a lot of similarities. There's also a lot of differences. In North Carolina, we tend to, and also the other locations, the other 4 locations with Texsource, we allow we allow each person to really handle and do everything on their own. We don't get involved in the day-to-day operations. We bring on people and let them do what they need to do. I have noticed over the year of working out of the Baltimore location and with the Baltimore location, and as of purchasing it in November of this past year, that just about everything that takes place and happens is controlled by 1 or 2 people. My goal was for you to come down and see how we just let everybody pretty much freely do whatever they need to do, make their own decisions. And that's one thing I definitely want to take to Baltimore. So I would like to know your opinion on the week or so that you've only been at Martin, and then now 4 days in North Carolina, some of the similarities or the differences.
Yeah, the order's taken by the customer service rep, and it goes, once it's presented, it goes into a bin after it's printed, and then it'll get picked and then goes directly to UPS down here. And Martin Supply, the order will be taken, ticket will be done. After it's picked, it comes back to the office and then goes back out to get shipped. So in that way, you guys skip a process there. We're switching over. We're going to be sharing the same software, which I see is going to save 2 to 3 steps, even more in some things that I've seen.
Yeah, that's going to help a lot with the drop shipments and putting orders back and forth in for a drop shipment from the Baltimore location to the North Carolina location or any of the others, Georgia or wherever it may be. So that will definitely streamline the order process. There are so many things that we see or that I have seen to be different, and I'm hoping, by you being here, you will be able to identify and express to me multiple differences, not only with Martin and Texsource, but bring your knowledge from the screen printing industry. And before we really jump into the Baltimore location, Martin Supply or Texsource, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and so whoever watches the podcast will know what they're dealing with when they call the Baltimore location or even the North Carolina location. We transfer phone calls to you.
Yeah, they'll be asking for you.
Yeah, so
by name.
Exactly. So give us a good description, background of what you've done over the last 45 years, 60 years, 70 years, whatever it is.
Well, a little bit in there, but anyway, started after high school. I decided I wanted to get a job that was creative and fun, and there happened to be a little screen print shop in my small town in South Jersey. So in 1985, I started printing transfers for the beach, little flatbed presses.
Yep.
And in Ocean City, Maryland, there still is a bar called the Purple Moose Saloon, where that's pretty famous for their Bloody Marys. We had an automatic press.
So we need to give a shout out to that bar in where at?
It's Ocean City, Maryland.
Ocean City, Maryland. What's the name of it?
Purple Moose Saloon.
Purple Moose.
Yep.
Purple Moose Saloon.
In Ocean City,
So,
Maryland.
guys, if any of you watching this and you live in that area, if you don't know anything about it, look them up, go by, check them out.
Cheers.
Yep. So the first job I ever saw done on a direct screen print press was Purple Moose Saloon, which made it the first press I tried to break down, and I was covered with ink by the time I went home. I got in trouble. But anyway, to make a long story short, it was from there, I said, let me try being an artist in there. And this was back when the days of Ruby Lift and before computers.
Hand cut. Yeah, the hand cut days.
Yeah. And I said, okay. So that seemed pretty cool. And I really got drawn back into the shop. And back in those days, we didn't have these wonderful chemicals that we sell you guys now. We had bleach to soften the emulsion, blow out the screens, and we had dishwashing soap to degrease them. And we used turpentine to get the ink out in the first step. So we've come a long way.
Yeah, that'll kill a few brain cells. Like some of the guys just didn't survive the turpentine or raw mineral spirits days. You know.
Yeah, the raw mineral spirits. It always cracked me up going in the shops and seeing them just dumping it in the floor and everywhere else. People walking it, tracking it all over the place, and it destroys everything.
Breathing it
Yeah,
in
oh my
and
goodness.
all that.
Oh my goodness. Yep.
So you got the bug like I got in the 80s. So I imagine, screen printers are nomads. We travel around. I've worked at, several shops. I'm guessing. I haven't heard your story, but I'm guessing you're going to bounce all around from shop to shop.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do my best. It's been a journey. So after I decided to go to school for art down in South Carolina, and
They actually let you come to South Carolina from being, from New Jersey. And,
Well,
in the 80s.
well, there's South Jersey, North Jersey, always has been.
It's
I
still
have to be
Jersey.
from South, and they asked me where I'm from. I said the South. They go, where? I go, South Jersey.
Okay, all right.
They go, they got a South Jersey? I go, yeah. Half of them believe me.
So you were from the South, even though you were in Jersey.
Yes.
Okay.
And went to
All right.
South Carolina.
So there you go. So then you would fit in. Okay.
And if I knew when I decided to move to Maryland, if I knew there was a Southern Maryland at the time, maybe I would have moved there.
So you came to South Carolina to go to school for artwork.
Yep.
How'd that go?
Well, I decided I liked making money more than I did going to school.
Okay.
So I wore a tuxedo and became a maitre d' for a couple years, and then said, you know what, let's go back to printing. So I moved to Maryland. And from there, I bounced from shops to shops, small shops to medium shops to one of the biggest ones there was. And we'll leave that name out because they no longer are in business.
Did you burn that bridge, Jeff?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, they went out of business.
Yeah. Okay.
No. I've only burned one
Yeah. Fair enough.
after I got burned, but I got them to burn.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's part of it. But
So what did you do in these shops? I mean, what was your main role? Was your customer service, delivery, answer phones?
always production floor.
Production, okay.
Always production run. One particular place, it was a medium-sized shop, and their idea of a production manager was customer service, which is pretty cool. I got my feet wet in customer service. And then from there, I went into Martin Supply as a customer service representative or inside sales.
How long ago was that? So this will be your second time with Martin.
Correct. I decided to give a shot going back to production, and it went fairly well for a while until the company decided to take other routes in the business.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. And
I think the company was purchased and they moved their main location from Baltimore to another state.
correct.
And-
That sounds very familiar to me for some reason.
That's
I
happened
mean-
to you. That's happened to you multiple times. I mean, the last place you were at was in South Carolina, Mike. You moved, uprooted your family, moved all the way to South Carolina from Indiana, I believe.
Yeah,
was it?
originally, that's my home state.
So you moved from Indiana down to South Carolina to run a shop, to find out 2 or 3 years later that they went out of business, basically closed the doors, and you picked up cans for a couple months.
Yeah,
Or did you just come straight from the shop to Texsource?
Were they filmed?
No,
Filled?
I kicked the can down the road for a while.
There you go.
That's what I thought him saying.
There you go.
Full disclosure: the time between when All American sold out to another company and then I came to Texsource was the first time I had any time off in the last 7 years, because when you're running a company, it's like that. But,
And you didn't take much time off. You jumped right straight back into the middle of it. Even though you did not come to work for us immediately, you still came up and participated in one of our classes on your time off. I mean, you jumped in and done a lot of stuff. So you were very, very active in the industry, waiting on the position or waiting on the actual day to come to work for Texsource.
Yeah, and
So-
I wanted to hit the ground running, so to speak.
Yep.
And I think that, at least in our business, what there's always been lacking on the supply end, and this is coming from a pain point that, when you're out there in the trenches, is that a lot of the vendors, they have sales reps, but they've never pulled a squeegee.
That's
or
right.
They've never, and so
And
that's
Texsource is a little different because all of our guys, everybody that works at Texsource, has to go through classes. They have to go through training. We actually, Dwayne, who's been with us for 25 years, thereabouts, we sent him to work at a screen printing shop for about 3 weeks. Roger, who has actually passed away since, and very, very, very good guy, a great customer, a good friend of Texsource's, Texsource friend for forever. Actually, a customer of mine when I worked back in the day with Willflex before I even started Texsource. So he has been a long-term good dear friend of the Texsource family, and he agreed and brought Dwayne in, and Dwayne worked there for 3 months, or 3 weeks, free labor, just to get his feet wet to understand. But Jeff, with you, and here's what I've always seen production guys like with yourself, with Mike, with Jacob. Jacob is another sales guy. He owned his own shop. He screen printed forever. Robin worked in a shop in Lincoln, North Carolina.
That was child slave labor.
Yes, it was. Robin was like 7 or 8 when he was in the screen room.
Yeah.
But anyway, to hear him tell it, he's been doing it for 40 years, and he's actually 47 years old. So I don't understand that one. But that's Robin's tale, right?
Yeah, laws were broken.
Yeah, we'll let him continue to go with that story. But like with you two guys, Jeff and Mike, what I see on the other side, in the screen printing side or supply side, when we bring someone on from the production side, you guys have a lot of knowledge on the press and what you're doing, but you don't have a lot of product knowledge. And what I mean by that is you don't deal a lot with the different classifications of emulsions. We know that there's 3 classification emulsions. You know that there's a lot of different inks out there. Most shops will get tied into 1 or 2 products. They'll stay with those products.
Yes.
If it works good, why fix it? Why change if everything's going the way that it should? So when you guys walk from a shop with even though back in the day, I think you were with Reebok or Adidas, I don't know which one.
Same company.
It is at this point. Yeah. But back then it was not, right?
Yeah, I started with Reebok, and then we were bought by Adidas.
Okay, perfect.
And then they recently just sold Reebok. So
Yep,
that's-
exactly. So you were in a shop with a tremendous amount of automatics, tremendous amount of equipment. The days that I traveled to these massive shops, I'd walk in, it'd be 30, 40, 50 machines sitting in the shop.
Yeah.
But everybody in there only knew what they knew, what was brought through the door. And the world is truly a lot bigger than what you're dealing with. If you look at the product and the product line, the product mix, and do a little bit of time to research. There's always going to be a better mousetrap. It don't matter. It don't matter what you're using. You're going to find something that we have. You're using one particular white from us, so there's probably going to be 3 others that's going to work just as good. Be open-minded to look at it. And so you guys coming from a production shop, and then Jeff, especially you, the shop that you were in had multiple automatics. Y'all were probably running the same products for a long time. It ain't broke, don't, if it's not broke, don't fix it, don't change it, whatever the case is. You walk into a Martin in Baltimore, that's a 35,000 square foot building, and there's products from one wall to the next. In North Carolina, at the location Texsource in North Carolina, we'll have on our floor at any time roughly about 47 different whites, and customers really don't know that. I mean, we carry and keep on our floor 47 whites. So, Jeff, when you're in Baltimore and you have customers start calling you and they're talking about some of the most basic stuff about, on my screen I got pinholes, you're going to have to explain how to take care of it. So the actual production end and how to fix some of the issues, you're not going to have a problem at all. But I think where you, and I've seen with Jacob, I've seen with Robin, I have not with you, Mike, because you and I hadn't worked side by side on some of these things, but the other guys, they have a problem with product knowledge, broad product knowledge with 47 different whites. Mm-hmm. I do know by dealing with the guys in Baltimore, they'd never even seen a bucket of ink open.
Yeah, that was striking.
That blew my mind. I mean,
it did. Yeah.
Since 1986, been I think same owner since 86 or 84, but been in business since the 50s. The people that's been there for 25 and 30 years has never seen a bucket of ink open. They've never even put a spatula in it. They've never done anything. Never put a squeegee. So we went up a few weeks ago and done a full class. That's when I met you.
It was.
Yeah. And when I met you, I thought, man, this guy would be great, coming out of production for the amount of time he's been there and the years of production, bringing him in. But he's going to be like every other production manager, thinks he knows everything, and he don't, And
that's the first thing you learn in this business.
Yeah,
you don't know squat.
Yeah, and just the products, and that we have, and I challenge you, and I challenged Jacob, and it's funny, Mike, you wasn't in the conversation when we actually interviewed and hired Jacob. He come in, he said, "Oh man, I know all about screen printing. I own my own shop." So I drilled him for about 15 minutes on products, and I had him so bumfuzzled he didn't even know what was going on. I really, if I would have walked into a place and was interviewed the way I interviewed him, I would have turned around and walked out. I'm not working. This guy's a jerk. No, Jacob.
Okay.
Jacob. I call him the kid, because he's the young guy.
You, Jeff, I hadn't give you a hard time yet.
Well, that's all right. Yeah, time.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it'll happen one day.
And he will.
Who will?
You will give him a hard time.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like your modus operandi, where you call me into your office and you say, "Hey, I'm going to fire you today," and then I'm like, "What?" And then you're like, "No, I have this project I want you to work on."
Normally it's lunch.
That's it. That's his icebreaker.
Don't go out to lunch with this guy.
Yeah, that's his icebreaker.
So hold on a minute. Let's ask the guy that is behind the screens and video and everything and making sure the sound's right. Adam, have I ever done that to you?
No. That would be no.
Thank you. How long have you been here?
About a year and a half.
Year and a half. Okay, year and a half.
He's been programmed to say that. I can tell. I can see it's in his eye.
What's that sign? What's that sign he's holding up over?
Yeah, it's like, please help.
Yeah.
So getting back to where we're at, here's what's crazy. Here's what's crazy. What we have to do, in the supply industry, we have to be an investigator. We have to ask the questions. We hope that you, the customers, don't get upset when we start asking all these questions. But we have to get our facts to do multiple things. We have to be able to go back to the manufacturer. We have to present your case. A good, for instance, in Norcross, Georgia, last week, we get a phone call from a guy. Actually, today's Thursday. Actually, Monday, we get a call from a guy on Monday, and he said, "My dip tank." Now, he's had a dip tank from us. He bought it in February of 2022. So now we're a year and a few months into this dip tank. He calls and says, I went in my dip tank, just busted open. Okay, how many screens you have in it? Well, why does that matter? It's split. Well, we have to get the information for the manufacturer, which is easy at this point. They want to find out, or they want to know, basically where it busted. Did you put the 6 screens in it and took the 7th one and used a piece of wood and drive it down in there, which would have...
These are all questions.
Like the Newman roller frames, those things are heavy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not going.
And
So this guy, and I'm going to tell you, and this is for the customers, if you got a dip tank and it holds 4 and you put 6 in there, when we call in and ask you, tell us 4.
Makes it easier.
Then we'll take that back to
and I'm going to give a piece of advice for anybody with a dip tank. The best method that I've seen for a dip tank is 1 in and 1 out, because while the one's soaking, you're reclaiming the other, and then you just do a swap for swap.
Okay, so now I agree with you, Mike. If you have a shop that has multiple people, in this particular case, it is one man, one owner. He owned the shop. It is a manual shop.
Yeah.
He dropped all 4 of his screens in at one time. He is doing a rotation of 4 screens. He dropped all 4 in at the same time. He blasted all 4 of them. He cleaned all 4 of them. He threw them in his drying box cabinet and then coated all 4 and put them back in. So for him, it does not make sense to do one at a time. As he drops them all in, he walks off a little bit and comes back. And anyway, his tank was split. We asked him the few questions, and typically we see that a replacement on stuff is 1 year. Easy Way is such a fantastic company for us to do business with. They support us. They help us in pretty much any way that they can. So we gave them the information. They immediately said, send him a tank. We don't have any in stock. We do. Luckily for us, we had 5 at that time in stock in this week in Georgia. He picked the tank up yesterday, and I spoke to him on the phone, and he said, I'm going to tell you something. He said, the way this thing was handled, he said, it blows my mind. I really wasn't expecting it to happen. He said, you do have an Easy Way and a Texsource user for life. I mean, he might get mad tomorrow and drop us, but, still, and it makes us at Texsource feel good to be able to come to a customer, and Martin Supply as well, so I don't want to leave those guys out. If we're able to get on the phone and we're able to put something together and help them out and do something, get them new product, get them whatever we need to do, but let the customers know we're there for them. So with you, Jeff, going up to back into Baltimore to work out that location, there's so many things that you're going to be asked and going to be hit from so many different customers. I've got to say that getting up there, you're going to have to spend the time in the research. You're going to have to do some investigating on each individual product, item, whatever it may be. And unfortunately, it's going to be getting vendors involved. Now, we do have a sheet that when we talk about something or somebody, if it's a particular product, we like to write down all the basic information so we can have it. And then we follow it from start to finish to make sure that spot cleaning guns, for instance, those things blow up all the time.
They get dropped.
Oh, my gosh. And there is no warranty. And people really want us to warrant them, but, we have a hard time doing it. Now, we do have a little bit of a warranty, but not.
And most of the time, the spot gun is, as we found out from Jeff, and then Ryan actually fixed one, when they so-called die on you. We've pitched these for years. We had a graveyard of them.
Well, yes.
You get the little bag of the spring and all that. It's actually so simple to fix them. That's why we posted a video on it. But the spot gun thing, like if you haven't gone through, it's like the cheap
to a year. You might as well in your shop buy one, put another one on your shelf, because it's going to go out. Now, there's some chemicals that actually destroys the internal parts of the gun, and it does destroy it to the point where it can't be repaired. So there's a couple companies that sell chemical. If you use one of them, the spot cleaning fluid,
we won't name those companies.
No, and I won't. But if you use them, we can't warranty the gun, and we hope to. But Jeff, getting back to you again, there's a lot, and it's going to be trying. It's going to be fun, but again, I started to say I challenge you with learning the products. So if we talk about UDC, ACE, or if we talk about pure photopolymers, if we talk about dual cures or whatever it may be, it's and actually the Union product line has, oh my gosh, what is it? PHU,
AD.
I mean, all kind of stuff. Paid. I mean,
Opaque.
yeah. There's so many different names,
Max Opaque.
and all of them has a different characteristic or a use. It's crazy. It's crazy. So you've got to learn all of that.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. If I have a customer one and I go into previous sales, if there's a product in there, a plastisol that I don't know anything about, I'll ask them about it, and then after I take care of the customer, I'll look up the PDF and learn everything you know about it. Once you learn everything you know about it, check that off.
So I'm calling you. I'm getting ready to print a water base job. What water base emulsion should I use?
Not my forte yet.
I know, and I don't expect you to know this because, again, just like I said, and the only reason I did this is most screen printing shops, most of them do not do a water base. Most of them, they do not use a discharge. They don't use the silicones. They don't use.
We want them to get over that hump.
We do, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because it can be used in your shop, no matter what's going on, no matter what you got, no matter what size equipment you have, you can still use it. So, when somebody calls in and, I really was expecting you to say the old-timey go-to water-based emulsion was 925 WR from Yolano, but that product is hazardous, and that has been discontinued. They have changed that product out. So,
wow,
it was the old go-to, but
there was when I went back to production and left Martin's, there were some things happening with the water base. They were re-engineering it, and at that time,
here's a good question.
Yeah.
What emulsion can you use on a plastisol?
Any.
Man, great, absolutely correct.
The cheapest.
There you go. No, not the cheapest.
Not the cheapest,
but what works for you?
Photopolymer.
Yeah.
All day long.
Yeah. And I do. I like the pure photopolymer. You don't have to add any sensitizer. You don't do anything to it.
I've fallen for the pure.
You have?
Yeah, because it's just so easy to work with. But on the exposure time, when I was doing a series on how to expose your screens properly, I on purpose doubled the time.
Yep.
And it still washed out.
Yep, right.
So
it's so forgiving.
Yeah, it is. Now, if you're doing halftones, that's when you want to dial it in. But I wanted to put, both you guys kind of on the spot. If I
go
could.
ahead, yeah, absolutely.
Can I throw something on you?
Yeah.
So I did this deep dive analysis of the Texsource brand and Martin Supply Company, and the analysis was basically looking at what are the similarities, what are the differences. What that analysis came up with is that Texsource is focused on customer service, training, and helping the small business grow, right? So, and Martin Supply looked like the analysis revealed that a lot bigger shops and not so much like we're going to help the little guy that it's got a dream of starting a big business. So with that analysis, if that is fair, I'll look at those. So with Martin joining the Texsource family, how do those two bridge each other, and how do we make Texsource more like Martin, and how do we make Martin more like Texsource? Is that why we went up there and cracked open?
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn this over to Jeff and let him answer it first, because here's why. Here's why. He's only been back at Martin for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks.
Okay, for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then he's been down here for 4 days. So I'm going to let him start, and then I will let you know. I will tell you why I was so impressed and excited about the purchase of Martin. So you start off what you see.
I thought it was because you knew I was going to eventually join your team.
Oh no, it's because I thought Brian Rapp. No, I'm kidding. No, but yeah. What do you see the differences in just this? What Mike had
or
said?
how do we?
Yeah.
What's going to be the changes that pull the brand,
Okay.
the family closer, since we're different creatures.
Education.
Education who?
Education
Who?
of the customers.
Okay.
First of all, we educate the staff. At the start, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah. Education of the customer.
You're not being pressured. There's no do 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 do.
Seems like
I kind of hear it in the background.
that's my.
do, do.
Well, the ink mixing. You want to go full blown on that up there?
Well, but what I want you to do is, and what Mike said, tell us the differences and also the similarities. You were at Martin before,
Yeah.
back a long time ago. So, what did y'all do? What was your focus? What did you concentrate on way back versus now?
I like to cater to the screen printing customers. They usually know what they want, and if they don't, I felt very comfortable helping them.
Yep.
Troubleshooting, anything like that. We had sign companies, which they normally have purchasing agents ordering their stuff, and it's typically a little harder to get an order out of them because they usually don't know what they want. I mean, we both take care of our customers.
Yeah.
Customers are number one. Period.
So if
because that's your
Yeah,
job.
absolutely,
That's our
absolutely.
job in this business.
So if you want me to add to it, I'll be more than glad to, and this will help you as well to be able to see. You want me to jump in?
Oh, please.
Okay. So in I guess it was in April of last year. Adam, how long does this thing last?
Open-ended.
Oh, okay. So we're not on a time frame? No. All right. So back in April of last year, when I was first introduced to, and it might have been in May, but anyway, whenever it was, early last year, I was introduced into Martin by an ex-employee there. I liked the idea of Martin. Victor and I had spoke to each other, I don't know, quite a few years ago about a couple particular customers, and it was just just a brief conversation. It was presented to me last year about Martin maybe being available. I flew up and spent some time in their location, walking around in the warehouse, looking at what they're about, sitting down with Victor, speaking to Victor for quite a while and multiple times and multiple days. I absolutely enjoyed the location. I enjoyed the warehouse, the interaction with some of the guys in the warehouse. I did not speak to anybody in customer service or up front. I didn't know if I could or not because I didn't want to create any problems of me potentially buying it, and people be concerned about that. So after spending some time there and seeing the main focus and talking to Victor, and I would tell Victor, hey, you're missing quartz. I don't want no damn quartz up here. I'm not dealing with quartz.
That's a good impression. by the way.
Yeah. So and then and get that recorder out of my face. I'll eat the crabs the way I want to.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So Victor is a great guy. I'm gonna tell you something. I love him to death. He is a absolute walking tremendous amount of knowledge, and I enjoy the time that I get to spend with him. He's a fantastic person.
I have to agree.
Victor is old school. He is old school. What he's done in the past, the new stuff today will not work. Screen printing classes don't work. Quartz are no good. He don't want to deal with court people. Every time I ship more quartz up, he calls and gives me a hard time. Get these damn quartz out of here. So we kind of laugh. But all the sales guys up there want the quartz. The sales guys are on board with servicing and maintaining any shop from a one-color tabletop manual,
Yeah.
and putting the shirt in your oven to dry it, to the largest shop up there with 16 or 18 automatics, whatever it may be. So the guys, all the employees and customer services is absolutely interested in it. So the similarities are we also cover the very large shops. I mean, we got shops that buy close to $1 million a year from us, the same as Martin. But we also got shops that we sent an order out this week, and then the order was $5. It costs more to write that order. It costs more time for us to put that order in, to process it, to go pull the order, to pack it, to ship it. Then we get out of it. So we lose money. But you know what? We're there for you. We're there to help support whatever you need. If it is a $5 blockout pen, we don't care. We'll send it to you. And that does not happen in Baltimore. Baltimore does not have an area where people can walk in freely and pick up products. We do. Our Atlanta location, we receive probably 20, 25 walk-ins per day in Atlanta. The Texas location, probably about 6 to 8 walk-ins. Indiana, not so many, and not so many in North Carolina. Maybe 3, 4 a week in North Carolina.
And when you're in that emergency pinch, I know I used to run up here and bust through the door, and there would be waiting on me.
In North Carolina and also in Georgia, the emergency pinch, if you're not able to make it by 5:30 when we close, we set it right outside the gate with in a box, and it's got your name on it. So we do that as well. But we also will come back to the shop and open up if we need to, and we've done that multiple times. So some of the stuff that we do here, we hope that we are able to get going in Martin. And it's been a slow go. Again, we're going to go back to Victor, a great guy. He does have things that he likes and things that he don't like, and we want to make sure that he is happy with the process and happy with what we're doing. So we're taking a slower approach on some of the things. The GEN colors, for instance, our GEN colors in North Carolina, all 4 locations other than Baltimore, we sell a tremendous amount of our own private label inks. We have been doing this since 1997 when I first opened the doors. We outsourced actually all the Wilflex products and how to match color for tint and strength. And we still have those colors today where Wilflex has dropped or eliminated a bunch of the colors. The old gold, for instance, the Vegas gold is no longer a part of their color SKU, but it is ours. Rhodamine, we still have all those colors. So we sent some color charts up to Baltimore, and they've mailed some out. And I get a call the day before yesterday from Victor. You got to give me some of those Gen colors up here. I sold 3 5s, and I ain't got that shit on the floor. So I'm laughing. I'm laughing. So we made a quick emergency order yesterday. It went out yesterday. We shipped up a little over 2,000 pounds of product off of our floor. So, the good thing is we keep a lot of products, but we shipped about 2,000 pounds of products. So it would be delivered today. He will be able to get it today, unload it today, and get the customer taken care of with the 3 5s. So the similarities are we both call on large accounts. The similarities are we both care about the customers. The 3 people that they have, Patrick, Lauren, and Kelly, and Jeff is actually pointing towards his head, but he's not there yet. And once we get Jeff up to speed there,
well, I'm here.
Yeah.
Well, that's a start.
and hopefully you'll be the guy when someone calls in
Absolutely.
with a question. They say,
Well,
"Hey, we've got a."
That's not the case. What I'm hoping that Jeff does, but yes, he will be there. You're right. So the main purpose for me bringing Jeff down is for Jeff to be the guy that can bring the knowledge from North Carolina, take the knowledge to Baltimore to help us measure the floor, get the classrooms built, start working with us in training, to start doing some of the training up there. Mike, you'd still go up and do the training, and then Jeff would assist you and build a training program in Baltimore, which they don't have, to build the similarities in the warehouse, to build the similarities. Customer service, I can't say anything at all about customer service. The 3 people that is in customer service, they're amazing. They have the knowledge. They've just not have actually looked and printed, but they have the knowledge on the products, which is great.
Yeah, and the more they can get their hands on that.
Yeah, that's right. So the training that we do up there, there's a lot going on. There's a tremendous amount going on in I've put it on a slower track. What bothers me when I see, and you guys in the printing industry will know, when you bring a new plant manager in to start running your production, the first thing he does, he comes in and says, "Oh, everything you've been doing is wrong. We got to get rid of this ink and this product and that product, and we bring our own whoever that may be in, and this is the product we want to use." The product 99% of the time is not the problem. It's the people that you have in there, and the problem is going to be more in the training and how to and what to do. It's not going to be, well, this product didn't work right. Well, it didn't work right because you probably presented it wrong, and a sales guy brought you the wrong product. If you're going to do polyester and he brings you a 100% cotton white, you got an issue. So those are the things that we want to do in Baltimore. We do it in North Carolina. We do it in Texas and Indiana and also Atlanta now. We want to do the same things in Baltimore with the training.
I found it very interesting what you just said about the Gen Series ink, because we sell there's even like little binds back there for people to try it out.
Yeah.
But you said that people bought 5s of the Gen Series?
That's correct.
So this was a trick. I was in a big enough shop. We were using our own mixing system. So if we need a color, we just mix it.
That's right.
And then you dial in. But your everyday colors, the bucket colors we called, here's a trick that I started doing is you use the Gen Series because you don't want to mix up, just your common red and use your mixing system. You want to save that for when you have to hit a Pantone color for a league or a particular logo. So even the big shops like me, I was looking at like, hey, let's just get the
Standard
athletic
colors.
gold, like the 1235. Let's get that in bulk because of the time that it took the person mixing the ink, all that labor for stuff that we were using every day. So,
well, let me throw another one in on it, Mike. When we're using and we do sell the M3 mixing system from Rutland.
I love that system.
Yeah. The problem that I see with that system, I mean, it's great to have a mixing system in your shop. It's great to be able to use a mixing system and pop out the colors you want. And the comment that you made, you'll bring in your basic colors pre-mixed, ready to go. The Gen Series. Now, here's the difference. You're going to look at a typical cost per gallon of you mixing the color in-house, close to $175. That's going to be your cost. You got to think you got labor, you got cleanup, you got buckets. Once you start throwing all your true cost in it, you're about $175. You can buy a pre-mixed navy, you can buy a pre-mixed color from us and put it on your shelf for $125. And some of the colors are even cheaper than that. Some of them are in the 60s and 70s and $80 ranges. So if you just look at the dollar amount of what you would spend with a gallon of the M3 mixing yellow, if I'm not mistaken, it's about $215 for that 1 gallon. Yeah, and then you start dipping a little bit out here and there, and
those fluorescents. Those are the expensive ones, and I don't think a lot of people realize that
the purples and the violets. You're talking about close to $300 a gallon.
Yeah, it's incredibly expensive when we had to buy, the basic pigments, those were a lot lower, but it also affects when you get a Pantone color mix. People are like, why is this so expensive? They just think it's all, like you're making a Taco Bell thing where it's all the same ingredients.
You think about it, we invested in, and Jeff actually brought this up, and it will be the case. Jeff, we are wanting to put a mixing system up there. So we bought, it's about a $93,000 mixing system in our facility. So if you go to a Lowe's or a Home Depot and you order some paint and you want to paint a different color or whatever the case is, they have a little dispensing system to dispense the paint out into that little container. They blend it, shake it, whatever, send it to you. We do the same thing in North Carolina, but our dispensing system is about $93,000, and we have 55-gallon drums of product and 30-gallon drums, and our specialty products is in 5-gallon pails. And the specialties, Mike, is the one you were talking about, is the fluorescents.
Yeah.
So
FF series.
Yeah, so we use all the fluorescents in a 5-gallon pail because you don't use that much of it. But we are going to do that, and then so when we program the number in and it starts spitting it out, By the time you put it into a bucket, you set the bucket on a mixer or blend it or whatever. We have 6 mixing stations
Yeah.
to mix, and we produce in PMS colors about 150 colors per week. We have one guy full time does nothing but PMS colors, and at this point we are doing somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 to 12 colors per week, if I'm not mistaken, for Baltimore, and I'm not really sure on that number, but I do know that we do several for Baltimore and we ship them up. If we get that mixing system in Baltimore, and not if, when we get that mixing system, the good thing is maybe Rocky will have time to jump back and forth. It's not going to be, to the point of keeping him so busy, and it's going to be a lot easier for him to mix with the system that we have versus what he's doing. Yeah. And they do offer a little bit of mixing systems or mixing of PMS colors in Baltimore now, but it's on a smaller scale.
It's definitely, like I said, it's definitely a hack I found, just seeing what was happening on my production floor when I had someone that I didn't have a full-time ink mixer in a screen printing shop. Usually it's somebody that's doing something. Yeah. It was our floor manager. She mixed the inks because she knew that they had to be right. If you got to hit a color, sometimes you make it a shade darker, because you got the white underbase or whatever.
Right.
But I saw her pain point of mixing stuff that is just standard bucket colors.
Yep.
And so when I started buying 5 gallons of pre-mixed red, green, a 1235 was a big one that every shop uses, athletic gold.
Yep.
It freed up so much of her time. It's incredible.
So let me ask you this one. Why do you think that our color palette is so big? Why we have so many GEN colors? Why would you think?
Well, because there's just the mentality that if you're a kid in school, you get the 24 crayon box, and then some kids get the 64 with a sharpener. You got all of those type, but at the very least, it gives you enough of a variety that
you don't have to mix.
That's right. So let me tell you how our colors have grown the way that they have. So we have ever had many shops, and they keep calling if we have to do a PMS color of 185 red, and next week 185 red, and next week 185, and we keep doing 185, 185, 185, we're going to say this is crazy. So then we just go ahead and blend it in bulk, and we'll do 5 fives of 185. And we'll throw a name on it.
Yeah.
We'll call it Rebel Red. So we'll slap a name of Rebel Red on 185, and you have a cross-reference Rebel Red. And don't take Rebel Red and call an order Rebel Red and think it's 185, because I don't really know what the name and the number goes with each other. But the way that our colors have grown the way that it has, and we do have a tremendous amount of colors in our color chart, it has grown because of the PMS colors.
Yeah, and
I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, and I, when we do these classes and we get these people that are getting in the business, I encourage them strongly to have bucket colors.
Yep.
We have the Gen series, and then we have the opaque, the SO versions.
Yep.
So I encourage them to have
the low cure from Rutland. That is a new one of standard colors. Rutland,
everything's going low cure. It's
absolutely,
amazing. It's amazing.
And I don't know if you know this, but we are with the formulators now, and all of our GEN colors we're hoping will be a low cure in the next couple months. So everything that we have in our system, everything that we have in our GEN and our SOs, will be a low cure product.
And so you're talking maybe around 300. Is that going to be the standard for a low cure these days?
No. For us, we're shooting for the 280 range.
280. Wow.
Yeah. So we're hoping.
Don't ship to Arizona right now.
Well, no. So but here's what we're doing though. If you think about this, you got low cure and you got low fusion. So if you're talking about a fast fusion ink, and that fast fusion ink goes on a truck to Arizona, yes, we're going to have some problems with it thicken up, and we're going to have some issues with it pre-gelling, not curing, but pre-gelling.
Yeah.
So a fast fusion ink will create us some problems, you're correct. But the low cure, if we cure, again, if in what you're saying, if it stays in a truck and that truck is in that 280 degree range, yes, you're going to get a fused bucket of ink. That's correct. But it's going to take it a little while to go through that thicking, the viscosity, and the sheer volume in the bucket. But you know, and we have had problems with the low fusion versus the low cure, and the fusion comes out, and we want a fast fusion ink for flashing on.
Yeah.
Printing colors, multiple colors, and flashing in between.
People like the quick flash for
And
sure.
and we do. Our colors are a quick flash already. So now, along with our quick flash and our good flash time, we're going to drop the cure time into that 280 range.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad to see the industry going this way, only because there's certain inks and garments that you struggle with that once they get up over 300, then they start sublimating, and
You're right.
and it's nice to be able to use it's nice to be able to use cotton inks on blended cotton poly garments, because if you have to commit fully to poly inks, then you're dealing with a whole different creature, a whole different feel.
Right.
So it's good to see that the temp's coming down. It's just you have to be aware of these things.
And I'm truly not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of low cure inks. I look at it when you buy a new car today. It's got so many gadgets and bells and whistles on it. You never in your life are able to figure out what's going on. You get a new iPhone, or some of you who don't know how to use an iPhone, you have to go to the Droid, right?
Yeah.
You have those Droid users, those dreaded Droid users.
Yeah, they have support groups. I mean,
and there's so many features and functions on the iPhones and the Droids that you never even touch on, right? So to me, a low cure ink is kind of falls into that same scenario. If you go into the shops, I'm going to tell you probably 90% of the shops, you're still running your dryers at the 320s, the 350s, the 370s, and they got that belt cranking through in I don't know, 15 to 20 seconds, and just barely by the skin of their teeth still curing everything, and it still works for them. But then they're going to take a low cure ink and they're going to leave, and we've seen this in shop after shop. They're going to take a low cure ink at a 300 or a 290 cure, and they're still going to have their dryer set at 375 degrees, and they're still going to be cranking it through. For the instances that you were talking about, Mike, it's absolutely important to have a low cure ink when you're dealing with polys or when you're dealing with certain substrates. So that's the only reason that I even like low cures.
Well, the irony here
is the new Charmin.
Yeah, the irony here is that I've because of running these shops, is you get in situations and you go out to production one day and they're running a job with underbase gray because you have a bleeder.
Underbase gray is
barrier base.
Yeah, I tell
you.
Barrier gray.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a killer product.
Yeah, with the because it's got the carbon based in there.
Yep.
So I'm going out there. Old school. Yeah, and it's going to cure a low cure underbase gray, right? But then I catch them putting a standard cotton white on top of it. So then they have to cure it at the high temperature that's making the polyester reactive. And lots of shops do that. If you're going to go low cure, then go low cure on poly across the line.
So I'm gonna bring the boxing gloves out on this one.
Yeah.
With you.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go. I'm gonna tell
join in too.
Do what?
I'm going to join in.
So let's talk about what you're saying. So what mesh counter are you going to be using to put the gray down?
Who are you going to ask here?
Both of you. You're going to use a 110 and you're going to use a 156, right?
No, I'm not going to use a 110.
Or 86?
I'm going to either use an 86 or a 110.
86, 110. What are you going to use, Mike?
What I'm going to do is look at the text sheet, and I'm going to find out the granule size of the carbon, and then calculate: do I need to use an S mesh and use the highest mesh I can possibly?
Hold on, let me get in.
I don't want to sift the carbon.
Most people that runs a shop does not have a pencil pocket protector, and their glasses down on nerd knows
We would have
and do all of that math to try to figure it out.
we would have already researched the product that we had in our house. Like, let's say I have an Endurance Plus barrier base. I know that with that product, I can squeeze it through a 110 if I had to.
What would you use?
design?
Well, 110 by default, but I'm going to push it up to 125. But the trick is to keep the gray
All right,
stirred.
So here we go. So here's the boxing gloves.
Okay.
Both of y'all are in the 110, the 125, the 180, or excuse me, 86 mesh, correct? That's your white.
I wouldn't go 86.
I
gonna
wouldn't
go
either.
80.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
either. You said it. I didn't.
I'm going to go 86.
All right, you're going
Only,
86.
No,
only because
no.
the only time I normally use it, tie
Are
dyes.
no, your printing is for the police department
Oh, well, there you go.
to block bullets
Okay.
at 86 mesh.
Well,
Yeah, but that's only after you put.
All right, so hold on. Let me
that's
finish.
glitter. That's glitter territory.
Yeah, so
86.
let me finish my bout here.
All right, let's do it.
So 86 to 125, right? I probably would have took it up to a 156, maybe 150 mesh. Lay it down. I would print it to get my softer feel. I would flash it, and I would print it again. Even on the automatic, I do a print, flash, print, and I would lay down 2 layers of 156. It's going to feel many times better than a single lay down of an 86 or a 110. So I would have done that to begin with. That's my opinion, my preference. But most shops do exactly what you're talking about. Most shops will do an 86. Most shops will do a 110. I agree with that. When you print that down and you flash it, you're going to go ahead and gel, and you will do a post-cure. It cures at 280, 290. You're going to do a post-cure. It's not going to take much more in the dryer to completely fuse it. So I'm going to drop the colors on top. I'm going to put my colors on top. First of all, I'm going to ask, Jeff, what mesh count are you going to use on your 6 colors on top? Red, white, and blue. Or no, you can't use white. You already, well, yeah, red, white, and blue.
Because you're going to need.
You got a gray blocker. All right, red, white, and blue.
All right, so you're going to do a gray blocker, and then I would do
Red, white, and blue. What mesh counts?
230, and then white and white.
That's what I wanted to hear. What would you use?
156 or 110 on the last color.
If I'm using an opaque ink, then I'm going to use a higher mesh. If it's not that opaque, then I'm going to use a 180 and a softer squeeze.
Depends
There
on
you
where,
go. There you go.
Or where your
So would
where
I.
your flash is in your sequence.
So would I. So I would do I'd do a 156 double stroke or a print flash print on the gray. Y'all would do a 110. So what I'm doing, I'm setting the same amount of ink down with a softer feel. I'm blocking
Like
it
a
pretty good.
70.
Yeah. So you guys are laying down a thicker film and a very thin film or a thin coat of color on top.
But you still need to underbase it with a white.
But here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to end up. Not necessarily, not if you're using opaque colors that Mike had suggested. So then you're going to be
Depending on what
doing-
colors.
I'm
they are.
talking
that's
about,
right,
I'm
that's
talking about
In general, you're
many
right. You
colors.
would. Yes, that's correct. In general, you would. Yeah. And most shops would do that. That's correct. But because you're laying down such a small film, a small deposit of colors on top, you still have to do that 320 cure. So don't get me wrong. I mean, you still have to, but you're going to reach that temperature a whole lot quicker. You've already got heat built up on the gray. You've already got heat built up on the white because you've had to flash the gray and you've had to flash the white.
And your pallets can fry an egg.
And so you already got the heat.
Yeah.
I could use any plastisol. I don't have to have a little cure. I can put any plastisol on top. Use in the scenario that you're talking about with a 230 mesh or a 150, or excuse me, a 180 mesh, and laying down such a small amount on top of 2 colors that's been baked to death.
Yeah, if you're wet on wet, you got to do the high.
I mean, so is my state? I mean, agree or disagree?
I have some concerns about
Okay.
the 156. And that is with the granular size of the carbon, because I had experience when the underbase grays first started surfacing.
Oh yeah,
Years ago.
international coatings was so thick and
Yeah.
Well,
oh my gosh.
but when we started pushing it on higher meshes, this was at Adidas because I was in the R&D department. We reached a point where it was no longer doing what it was supposed to
That's
do,
right.
and that was
Yeah.
blocking.
Yeah.
And come to find out, we were sifting
that's
all
right.
the carbon out.
You're removing everything you need.
Yeah. So now that's the first thing I like I said, I try to look at, or sometimes you get away with an S mesh that's got bigger
Yeah.
holes.
Yep.
So if I was going to go with the 156 on underbase gray, you need two things going on. You need friction on your ink at all times, where you just have it spinning, because then it pours out like like syrup.
Breaking down the viscosity.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to just have friction on the underbase gray. But then I would make sure that I was not sifting my carbon.
That's correct.
And then I would go for the 156.
So for people who are crazy enough to sit here and listen to this podcast for 45 minutes,
they're crazy.
Yeah. If you listen to it this long, and what Mike is talking about on the sifting. So we take colors, and what the main dye blocker, how's that?
Yeah.
The main dye blocker is the carbon black, and that carbon, if you look at it under a loop or under a microscope or whatever, it is a larger chunk. It's like if you
it's a chunk. Yeah.
It's a particle. So if you can refer to this as fresh ground pepper versus pepper in just a regular shaker. So the pepper in a regular shaker is a very, very small, fine granule. When somebody comes up and says you want any fresh pepper, I say no, I want your old stuff. But they'll grind it in its larger chunks. So this carbon is a larger chunk, just like with a Crystallina or a glitter. We use a .008 by .008 grade size flake.
Because if it doesn't, all your good stuff's getting caught up in your mesh, and that's
Yeah.
that's what he's talking about.
So it will clog up the
blocker.
mesh.
Yes,
it will clog up the mesh. You will have some problems. So for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, I mean that's what he's talking about. But I personally think that we should kind of wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
So we can move on, and
Those who haven't just hung themselves by this point.
I would have already jumped off. I'm about to jump off this.
Here,
balcony.
I think
you know
may.
what's funny? Here's what's funny is we're recording this now, but Robin is listening to this now because he's cruising down the road to some customer, and he listens to the podcast, and I just know he's not going to be able to help himself not to listen to this. So Robin, we got you, man. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, I just hope he does not wreck and from laughter. So this is I don't know how long you guys have been doing podcasts, but this was my first one.
I've been doing it for what time did we start?
Yeah, same here.
But
Yeah, we're
I had
pretty
a story.
good. We've got an hour in here, so this is
How long have Texsource been doing podcasts? How many months?
I think we did our first one probably January, February, something like that. And
so Jeff, this is my first one ever.
Yeah, me too.
So
Should we do it again? Or?
Yeah, absolutely.
We couldn't get him down here. We just, this was the perfect opportunity. But
I did have a Martin story though, but it started.
Does it start off as Once Upon a Time?
It starts as Once Upon an Atlantic.
Okay,
you remember that name?
Are there crafts?
Atlantic Screen
I do.
Supply?
I do know. Yes, I do know.
Brian Rapp, our Martin's outside sales guy for our area in Maryland, Virginia.
Brian Rapp, by the way, just came on with us. Had a shop that he ran, about 16 automatics, I think, from what I understand.
Right. And him and I have a little bit of a history. When I took his job when he left Atlantic back in the 90s for a short stint, outside sales. Not my thing. But anyway, when I tried to do my area and I wasn't working for Martin Supply, I got a lot of, you know what? Martin started us off when we were only in a garage with one manual.
There you go.
And
That's
we're
good.
kind of loyal to him. And I
good.
said, but I sell the same stuff. We like you, Jeff. We know you. A lot of people know me. But we're loyal to Martin Supply because they started us off when we were nothing. And one of those shops was G&G.
Was who?
G&G.
Really?
And the other one was Maryland Screen Printers.
Wow.
Right? And which I worked for Maryland Screen Printers for quite a few years. Yeah. And there were more than just those two that started off. And so we didn't always just cater to the big guys.
Right. So, and that's good to know. And I didn't know that story. Yeah. So that's great. And it's so many times we lose sight and focus of who we are and what we are and what we're good at. And I call it at Texsource, we'll have a meeting in the conference room and I say, look, guys, we got to get back to the basics. And to me, getting back to the basics is dropping back to when we first went in business in 1997, to how we truly go over and beyond to take care of the customers and the customer support. And we do that by the constant training with our employees. I was in the military and no man left behind, and I look at it the same way. If there's anything at all that I can do and I get involved with, we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it, and not just me, but everybody at Texsource has that same concept, and so does Martin, and that's why I was so excited with Martin. How do you close this thing up?
Well, we just kind of say, thanks for
So long, farewell.
Yeah. No. Hey, we can do the let's do a duet here.
Okay.
So we're gonna do the
So-
Dandy Don when the Monday Night Football game was way out of hand,
yeah.
and he started singing "Turn out the lights." The
So we're gonna
party's
let
over.
Jeff start this.
Okay.
If you will.
I don't know if I know the song.
You don't know the Dandy Don? Turn out the lights. The party's over. You
Turn
listen
out
to-
the lights.
The party's over.
The party's
They
over.
say all things must come to end.
All right.
How about
Jeff?
How about Jim Morrison? This is the end.
There
My
you go.
only friend.
That sounds good.
Well, that's
Okay.
a little more macabre.
So
but
Jeff,
yeah.
thank you for joining us. Thanks for being a part of the Martin group.
I'm happy to represent.
Yep.
I actually missed my desk at some point today.
What desk?
The one at Martin Supply.
Oh, that's gone.
What'd you do with it?
You'll find out when you get back.
When you go back, it's you guys are in a different. You guys are in a different building now.
No, I'm kidding. Nothing's changed. You're good. You're
They
good.
don't have air conditioning back.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's where you're gonna be.
No.
No, I'm kidding.
All right.
But thank you for coming down. It's been a good week so far. I hope that you like it, and you and I will be getting together tomorrow on our way to the airport,
Okay.
and I hope to get a lot of good feedback from you. If not, it was a waste of time.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thanks again,
We'll
Mike.
see.
Thanks for having me on this podcast.
Hey, we've been trying to get you booked on here for a long time.
Yep.
I need to get. We need to. Yeah, do more.
You're
of
wanting to
this.
do the whole bio of Texsource and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
just let me know. We'll do it.
Okay,
right.
so
Thank you,
thanks
guys.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you, TV Land.
Yeah.